Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're doing something a little different. We're stepping away from the big picture stuff, macroeconomics and all that, and diving into something much smaller, much greener. Yeah, we're talking microhorticulture. Specifically, we're exploring the, well, frankly, delightful world of Bonchi. That's bonsai chili for anyone new to it.
It is quite the dedicated practice. We're looking at a really interesting set of gardener's notes today.
Right, and these notes give us a fantastic window into, the nitty-gritty of growing chili, but also the personal side of it, memory, motivation, and then bam, the intense challenges, especially with pests.
Exactly. It's this fascinating crossroads, isn't it? You've got this deeply personal hobby driven by nostalgia. The gardener mentions wanting to relive childhood memories of their family's farming days.
Which sounds so lovely and simple.
It does. But then they decide to turn these chili plants into bonchi, these miniature sculpted forms. And suddenly you're in this world of really high-skill technical control. It's quite a shift.
That contrast is really striking. Starting from memory, maybe thinking about abundance, and then running straight into the demands of, well, specialist gardening. So our mission today is really to help you, the listener, quickly get a handle on the core problems and some of the really clever solutions this gardener is using.
Yeah, how they're trying to make that memory happen, but in this very specific sculpted way.
Okay, let's just quickly define Bonchi for anyone unfamiliar. Bonsai chili, right? It's not just sticking a chili plant in a small pot.
No, definitely not. It involves this meticulous, long-term training process, right from the seedling stage. You're aiming for, woody stems, maybe a gnarled look, basically a miniature tree shape.
So it's a long game. You're sort of gently stressing the plant to get that mature look, but small.
That's the idea. And this gardener, well, they're starting in a good position. They have an abundance of seedlings, which is great lots to choose from.
Gives you options.
Exactly. But the training itself, it requires patience. You're often trying to discourage, really fast growth or heavy fruiting because that takes energy away from developing the structure.
Ah, okay. Which is why it's so interesting that the notes mention one plant has already begun to fruit. And the gardener noted this with amazement.
Right. It's like the plant's natural drive is sort of fighting against the gardener's plan for this controlled miniature form.
Yeah, you're trying to shape it, restrict it, make it look old and woody, and the plant's just like, nope, gotta make peppers.
Huh. Pretty much. It shows that inherent tension right away, managing growth and size at the same time.
That fruiting must take a ton of energy.
Oh, absolutely. Huge energy drain.
Yeah.
And that's energy the gardener would probably rather see going into, say, thickening the trunk or building up a solid root system for that bonchi look.
So this early fruiting, this success in one sense, actually makes the whole energy management thing even more critical right from the start.
Yeah, it really highlights the challenge immediately. We'll definitely circle back to that energy idea later on.
Okay, so there's this internal biological conflict happening, size versus food. But then the gardener's notes really zoom in on a major external threat. We need to talk defense, because it sounds like this could derail the whole Bonchi project before it even gets going.
Yes, that's right. The main enemy here, the one that gets the most attention, is the whitefly.
Whiteflies, okay.
The gardener is very clear. They're the core issue when growing chili in the microclimates here. And if you're growing chili, especially in close quarters, or if your area is just prone to them, whiteflies are, they're not just annoying, they can be devastating.
I picture these tiny white specks fluttering around, but what's the actual damage? How do they threaten something that needs such careful long-term work like a Bonchi?
Well, they're sapsuckers. They cluster usually on the undersides of the leaves and just feed constantly. This weakens the plant really quickly, leaves yellow, they drop off.
Which means less energy production, right? Less photosynthesis.
Exactly. Severely hinders the plant's ability to make the energy it needs for training, for growth, for everything.
Yeah.
But there's more. They also excrete this sticky stuff. It's called honeydew.
Honeydew. Sounds nice, but I'm guessing it's not.
Oh, it's a complete nightmare for the plant. That sticky layer is basically the perfect breeding ground for this black, sooty mold.
Ugh.
Yeah, the mold grows over the honeydew, covers the leaves, blocks the sunlight, essentially suffocating the plant's ability to function. If you don't get on top of it, it can absolutely kill the plant.
Wow. Okay, so this isn't just a cosmetic issue, it's serious.
Very serious. And because they reproduce so fast and can be quite resilient, your standard spray it once and forget it approach, it's just not going to cut it. This needs, like the gardener is doing, a really integrated, hands-on, and frankly, pretty aggressive strategy.
Okay, so let's break down this strategy. The gardener's notes detail three main lines of attack against these whiteflies. It sounds like a mix of chemistry, hard work, and something a bit unusual.
That mix is key. Because whiteflies are so persistent, you really do need multiple tactics.
Mm.
You can't just bet on one thing working perfectly. You need layers of defense.
Right. So strategy one is the chemical approach, although it's organic. They're regularly applying an organic pesticide, and we actually know what it is: cooking oil mixed with detergent.
Yeah, that's a pretty classic homemade remedy, actually.
Yeah.
A lot of organic gardeners rely on it. The detergent basically helps the oil mix with water so you can spray it effectively.
It acts as an emulsifier.
Exactly. And then the oil coats the whiteflies, the adults, the younger ones, the eggs, and it basically suffocates them, blocks their breathing pores. It's a contact killer, meaning it has to actually touch the pest to work.
So thorough coverage is essential.
Absolutely crucial,
That's-
especially under the leaves where they hide.
Okay, so that's layer one, dealing with the pests on the surface. But
Mhm.
layer two, this sounds like pure dedication. The gardener mentions physically washing the eggs from the undersides of the leaves.
Yep. No fancy tech here, just sheer effort. Whiteflies lay their eggs in clusters, often tucked away under the leaves. Even a good spray might not get every single egg, especially if they're layered up.
So you literally have to go leaf by leaf and wipe them off.
That's the commitment. Inspecting carefully and physically removing them. It sounds incredibly time-consuming, I know.
It really does. I mean, you have to wonder, for a tiny Bonchi plant, is that level of effort sustainable? It sounds almost obsessive.
It speaks volumes about the dedication, doesn't it? For Bonchi, you're often trying to avoid broad-spectrum systemic pesticides that might harm the plant's specific growth patterns. So this kind of targeted physical removal is often the best way to really break that life cycle without unwanted side effects.
Okay, I get that. Precision pest control. But even with the oil spray and the manual washing, there's a third technique mentioned.
Ah, yes. The counterintuitive,
Right,
though.
they are cutting the leaves in half.
Right.
Now, hang on. To me, that sounds like you're harming the plant, reducing its ability to make energy. Why on earth would you do that?
Okay, this last technique, cutting leaves in half. This is probably the most insightful nugget in these notes. It seems backward, like you said, but it's actually a really clever strategic move. It serves two main purposes.
Two purposes. Okay, I'm listening.
So first, there's the immediate pest control aspect. Whiteflies, as we said, love those undersides of leaves. Big, lush leaves give them lots of protected space to lay eggs.
Right, more surface area.
Exactly. So by literally cutting the leaf area down, you're reducing their preferred habitat. Less prime real estate for them to set up shop and lay eggs. It directly reduces the possibility of infestation just by making the plant less inviting.
Okay, that makes sense. Less space for the enemy, but you said there was a second reason, something more structural.
Yes, and this connects right back to the whole point of Bonchi creating that miniature aged structure. This is all about directing the plant's energy.
Redirecting energy.
Well, think about it. If you drastically reduce the amount of foliage, the plant's capacity to photosynthesize and produce huge amounts of energy is limited. It kind of signals stress to the plant.
Okay.
So instead of pouring energy into making lots of new big leaves or into really fast, maybe weak stem growth, which is the opposite of what you want for bonsai, the plant is sort of forced to focus its resources elsewhere. It redirects the plant's energy into developing its root ball.
Okay, I see it now. It's like cutting a company's marketing budget, the visible stuff, the leaves. So all the money and effort has to go into fundamental research and building infrastructure, the roots.
That's a great analogy. That's precisely it. For any bonsai or bonchi, having a strong, dense, well-established root system is absolutely fundamental. It's the foundation for everything.
Non-negotiable.
Totally. So by strategically cutting back the leaves, this gardener is actually accelerating the development of that sturdy base and the woody trunk they want. They're tackling the whitefly problem and shaping the plant towards the bonchi aesthetic at the same time.
Wow. So it takes what seems like a necessary evil fighting pests and turns it into part of the actual training process. That's really efficient. Problem solving and design all in one snip.
Exactly. It's a fantastic example of integrated thinking in horticulture. That's the real aha moment here. Hashtag tag outro.
So yeah, if we pull back for a second, we started this deep dive with a really personal story, right? This gardener wanting to connect with family memories through growing chili.
Yeah, that simple nostalgic beginning.
And we followed that impulse into this incredibly technical space. We saw this three-pronged defense system emerge: the organic spray, the really painstaking physical cleaning of the egg.
The elbow grease.
Right, and then this final, really strategic move, cutting the leaves to manage both the pests and the plant's energy flow for the Bonchi form.
So the big takeaway here, I think, is how even in these really niche, specialized areas like Bonchi, the path to success isn't usually one magic bullet. It's this smart mix of different approaches: chemical, physical, strategic. Absolutely. It's about understanding the plant, understanding the threat, and then adapting creatively.
It really shows some ingenious problem solving when you have a very specific goal in mind.
Definitely.
And, that final idea, deliberately reducing the surface effort, the leaves, to force energy into the foundational work, the roots. That's quite a powerful principle, isn't it?
It really is.
Makes you wonder, how might that idea of redirecting energy apply elsewhere, maybe in learning something new or developing a skill in your own life? Could cutting back on the visible, maybe distracting activities actually help build a stronger core underneath?
That's a fascinating thought to chew on.
Yeah, something for you to mull over until our next deep dive.